cantando. La lavandera en el río y el jardinero regando, el albañil en su andamio, todos cantan trabajando. Los muchachos de mi pueblo todo el día andan silbando. Ya por el mundo se dice Venezuela, habla cantando. Ya por el mundo se dice Venezuela, habla cantando. El que nace en Venezuela ya lo vamos preparando. Al decir venezolano ya lo dice uno cantando. El secreto, compañero, es algo muy personal. Que arrullamos a los niños con el himno nacional. Que arrullamos a los niños con el himno nacional. Este país, desde que el sol se levanta, nace la copla y la danza, el oriente y la llanura, el mar y la serranía, el Guayana y occidente. En este país, mi país, tu país, este país, desde que el sol se levanta, nace la copla y la danza, el oriente y la llanura, el mar y la serranía, el Guayana y occidente. En este país, mi país, tu país, mi país es más que un sueño, es toda una realidad. Con el orgullo aferrado a su propia identidad. Tu país eres tú mismo, con tu esfuerzo y voluntad. En este país, mi país, tu país. Mi país es la conciencia de todos, es el quehacer del presente para forjar el futuro, y así cultivar la siembra de nuestros libertadores. En este país, mi país, tu país. Eres tú mismo, con tu esfuerzo y voluntad. En este país, mi país, tu país. Mi país no es un decir, es la conciencia de todos. Es el quehacer del presente para forjar el futuro. Y cultivar la siembra de nuestros libertadores. En este país, mi país, tu país, en este país.
Hola, buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a todos los que se conectan con nosotros hoy a través de nuestra plataforma Zoom. Estamos muy contentos y agradecidos de tener hoy a un representante de la organización Upwardly Global, que como pudieron leer en la presentación anterior, es una organización sin fines de lucro que se encarga de ayudar y brindar herramientas a inmigrantes, refugiados, buscadores de asilo, hoy en día incluso hasta tepecianos o personas con TPS que tengan una autorización de empleo para poder insertarlos nuevamente en lo que es el campo laboral de los Estados Unidos, pero muy específicamente en lo que radica su área de profesión, su carrera de profesión. Como mencionamos durante toda la promoción, cuando estuvimos haciendo la promoción de este evento. Esta presentación se va a llevar a cabo en inglés. Ahorita estoy hablándoles en nuestra lengua, en español, para dejarlo bien clarito, pero esta presentación se va a llevar a cabo en inglés, ya que es uno de los requisitos fundamentales que esta organización les pide a las personas que entran a sus programas para poder entonces ya luego disfrutar de todo lo que ellos tienen para ofrecer. Disculpen, no me presenté. Para los que no me conocen, mi nombre es Niurka Meléndez. Soy cofundadora junto con mi esposo Héctor Arguinzoni, quien hoy va a estar manejando el canal de YouTube, por donde estamos justo en este momento transmitiendo en vivo esta presentación. Fundadora, como les estaba comentando, de la organización Venezuelans and Immigrants Aid, y hoy nos sentimos sumamente honrados de contar con Lorenzo Vanelli. Lorenzo Vanelli es socio y voluntario del programa, o quien lidera los programas de Openly Global, pero bueno, ya más adelante él se encargará de presentarlo. Como pusimos en los slides que vimos durante la presentación, vamos a utilizar la cajita del chat para cualquier pregunta o comentario durante la presentación, pero justo al Lorenzo terminar su presentación, él va a abrir el piso va a estar abierto para prender nuestras cámaras y nuestros micrófonos y hacer cualquier pregunta o inquietud que tengamos con relación a la presentación que él haga. Once again, Lorenzo, we want to thank you for being able and willing to present for us today. We are more than excited to having you. We feel honored, and especially being an alumni from your program, I think I can be a good example or testimony, if you require it, to let people know how important these kind of programs and help and support are for immigrants like us that have our profession, our bachelor degree behind, that we think that we can put away and behind, but having organizations such as yours, we can just recover and gain the confidence to go back to our fields. So thank you once more, Lorenzo, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias, Niurka. Soy Lorenzo Vanelli, soy italiano, me mudé aquí a los Estados Unidos en el 2020. En este momento trabajo como Partnership and Volunteer Program Lead para Poorly Global y soy extremadamente feliz de hablar con ustedes esta tarde. Disculpáis si mi español no es perfecto. En el 2019 trabajé durante un año en España y aprendí un poco de español y soy muy feliz de hablar con ustedes esta tarde, en particular porque Italia y Venezuela tienen una historia de conexión muy fuerte. Yo sé que más o menos uno cada 1000 habitantes en Venezuela tiene raíces en Italia entre sus padres o no sé qué, y por eso es como si somos hermanos, más o menos, ¿no? Y por eso soy muy feliz de poder hablar con ustedes de Poorly Global. Voy a hacer esta presentación en inglés porque nuestros programas son en inglés y también porque mi PowerPoint es en inglés. Sería bastante curioso de tener el PowerPoint en inglés y hablar en español sobre aquello. Y por eso, muchísimas gracias a todos para ser aquí esta tarde y voy a empezar con la presentación.
Excelente, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to switch to English, unfortunately. Yo creo que el español es una lengua tan hermosa, la amo. Increíble, pero so I'm going to switch to English for the moment. Of course, if you want to ask any question, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We'll take some pauses during the presentation and we can look at the chat and answer your questions. Feel free to ask the questions in English or in Spanish, how you prefer, and I'm happy to answer to the best of my capabilities. So this evening, I'm going to talk to you about Poorly Global, which is the nonprofit that I work for. and I'm going to tell you what we do, how we do it, and how Upwardly Global can help you navigate the US job search process. So first of all, I wanted to share with you something about who we are. So Upwardly Global was born to help immigrant and refugee professionals in the US get back to work. Every year in the past years, we have been able to help more than 1,000 people find a job in their professional field every year. And we see that our job seekers have an average income gain of around 49K, at least, for example, in the area of New York. And we work with more than 50 employer partners who support us, support our projects, support our events, and participate in all our services. And something in particular that I want to make clear here now, that everything that you're going to hear about this evening in my presentation comes to you for free. All of our programs, all of our services are for free. There are no hidden costs. Nobody will ask for your credit card at any point in the program. Everything is free, and you can trust me. You can also ask Niurka. I was a job seeker too, like you. She is an UPGLO alumni, and she can tell you that all of this comes to you for free, which is very important. You know, it's important that this is clear. So just to give you an example of a story, this is just one of the many success stories from the past. So, for example, we were working with two job seekers. Their names are Rashidat and Latif. And Rashidat and Latif were living in New York with their growing family. And both were trained accountants and were coming from Nigeria, for example. But finding work in the US on their own was a big challenge for them. Before connecting with Upwardly Global, Latif had applied unsuccessfully to 150 jobs. And Rashidat, meanwhile, took a job as a cashier. So with Upwardly Global's help, Rashidat was able to find a job as a junior accountant, so working in his own field. And today she's a senior accountant at a local nonprofit organization. Similarly, Upwardly Global helped Latif find a staff accounting position at Chrysler, and he's now a CPA. So again, both were able to find a job in their professional field, because we know that we come to the US with a lot of professional experience, but the situation here in the US is complicated, and sometimes it's not really easy to find a position in our field of expertise because of many, many reasons. I will get to it in a moment. But I wanted to share with you that there are many reasons to be hopeful. There is reason to be hopeful because companies are still hiring, and professional jobs today are more secure, even after the pandemic. Now that the companies are starting to open again their hiring processes, they want to find smart ways of saving money because the pandemic didn't help them a lot. So when they make an investment to hire someone, they do their best now to retain that person. So professional jobs are very secure right now. They're more secure than years ago. Also, Upwardly Global keeps you competitive. The people who participate in our programs are more competitive than others in the job market. So there is reason to be hopeful, and so no worries. I know that we're all going through very complicated times, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I know that we'll be able to get through it together. So first thing first, I want to tell you about eligibility criteria. So eligibility, in order to be able to participate in Upwardly Global services, you have to have a humanitarian or an immigrant visa. So for example, you have to be a green card holder or a refugee, you have to have the SIV, or you have to be an asylee. To know if you are eligible and if your visa is eligible, please go to this website that you see here, www.upwardlyglobal.org/programs, this website right here. I will also put it in the chat later if you need. And when you go on this website, it will take you to this page. This page has all the information about our programs. And in particular, on the right here, there is a link right here with, it's a link to the list of visas that are eligible for our program. So if you want to know whether your visa is eligible for this program, please go to this page, go to this list and check the list of eligible visas so that you know if you're eligible. And of course, if you have questions about it, let me know. We tried to make that list as easy to read as possible, but you know, bureaucracy is always complicated. Let's face it, it's always complicated. I know it. So if you have questions, don't worry, ask me and I will try to answer all of your questions. The second eligibility requirement is to you have to have a degree or equivalent. So for example, a bachelor degree, like a 3-year university program or 4-year university program, or equivalent, because we know that in some professional fields now, you can be a professional without having a university degree. For example, maybe you work in IT and you just went through a boot camp, or you took a certification and you learned a specific coding language, for example, and so you are already able to work at the professional level with that certification without having to go through a 4-year degree. So we understand that. So if you have like a degree or something equivalent to it, that's okay, and you're eligible for it. Or for example, even in healthcare, there are some professions. For example, if you are a nurse, you can work as a nurse if you are certified, and you can go through a shorter certification that only takes a few months or maybe a year or so, I'm not sure. But after you've got that certification, you can already start to work as a nurse. So you're already a professional. You do not need a degree in order to be able to do that. The third, yes?
I jumped on this point. When I applied for those programs, it was in 2016. I didn't need to certify or validate my degrees. Is that still a possibility? Because sometimes we cannot, validate our degrees. Is that okay? Still?
Yes, exactly. That's a great question. There's no need to validate degrees. You just tell us if you have a degree and we trust you, because why wouldn't we? Like if you say that you have a degree, we trust you and it's okay. So no problem. We do not require for official certification, blah, blah, blah. We just trust you. It's a matter of trust, you know, so it's okay. And the third thing, but that's a great question. Thank you for asking. The third thing is you should have lived in the US for a maximum of 10 years. So if you have been in the US for 10 years or less, you are eligible for the program. If you've been in the US for longer than 10 years, then we cannot help you. We can provide some support with some free materials that we have online for everyone, but this would not be the kind of program for you. And also, among the eligibility criteria, you have to be able to communicate at an intermediate, at least intermediate level. So intermediate means at least B1 or B2. So don't worry, it's not very, very high. And we understand, like, so don't worry too much. It's not so difficult to get to, say, a B1 level. So don't worry about this too much. Also, when you are enrolled in our programs, we do a very simple, easy test about your English so that we understand what is your English level. But that is only especially to suggest you some additional resources. If you want to improve your English further, we can refer you to some coaches that can help you improve your English a bit more, or we can give you other resources to improve your English if needed. Maybe you don't need it. So these are the eligibility criteria: the visa, the degree or equivalent, maximum 10 years having been in the US, and an at least intermediate level of English. Are there questions about the eligibility before I move on to the other parts about the program? Let me just open up the chat that I wanted to check if there were some questions.
I'm looking at that question that Joliver Rodriguez is doing, is making, and she's asking about the degrees that we can have as in the medical field. It is necessary to have a permission or certification, or your organization upload helps in that process for those who are, I mean, in the medical field. Yeah.
Yes, this is a fantastic question, Yoliver, and I will answer this question later in this presentation. We're going to talk about certification that you need to work in your field, because this is an important process, right? So absolutely, the quick answer is yes, we help you with getting the kind of certification that you need in order to be able to work as a professional. So if you have your degree and you are able to work in your field before coming to the US, now here we can help you navigate getting a certification to work here in the US in the same field. You do not have to have it already. We can help you with it. And
there is another one. I don't know if you can see it, Lorenzo. It's Marife put a question. She said, I like to get the reference to improve my English level. Will it be possible to get or to be provided any kind of list that you may have?
That is a great question. So I know that there are a number of English training courses in New York, especially public libraries tend to have good English courses for people who are learning English at all levels. So if you're looking for something easy, quick, and accessible and free, I would definitely start by looking at the programs that are offered by universities and public libraries. Like, for example, the New York Public Library has fantastic language courses. Also, the Queens Public Library, I think, has something similar. So definitely check that out. And then if you become part of a Poorly Global, we have additional resources that we can give to the people who are enrolled. For example, we can match you with volunteers who do some language training with you, or we have some online courses for English too.
Thank you. That is
I was checking also, yeah, I see this question. En el caso que estamos en proceso de obtener asilo y solo tenemos el permiso de trabajo. Yes, this is a great question. So if you are waiting for your asylum and if you are waiting for the completion of that program, you can already start applying to a Poorly Global. And if you are waiting for a card that is eligible for the program, then we can already start working with you. You can start going through the process of the onboarding. You can start connecting with the job coach, and you can start having access to some of the resources. So definitely, yes, if you are waiting for it, apply anyway and get in contact with us, because there is a very good chance that we are able to help you already while you're waiting for it.
Mhm.
Licenciado en Comunicación Social. Yes, definitely. This is one of the fields that we work with. So absolutely, yes. Apply, because this is one of the fields, like we have job seekers that are from this field. So absolutely no problem, Juan. Comunicación Social is one of the fields that we have. And so absolutely, yes.
Excelente, excelente. So I hope this answered your question, guys. Thank you so much. So I think we don't have any more questions so far.
Cool, perfect. So now that we covered the eligibilities, of course, if you have other questions, we can talk about it further later. Absolutely no problem. You know, I am here for you. So I'm happy if there are questions. So we've seen this one. So what are our programs like? What do we do? There are many ways that Upwardly Global can help you and support you in your job search. In particular, we help you, we try to help you at every possible step of your job search. We know that looking for a job here in the US, if you were not born in the US, can be very complicated, because not only there are many barriers, but there are also many things that we have to learn as immigrants in order to be able to navigate the US job market. There are so many nuances, there are so many ways that you have to learn in order, for example, how you show up to interviews, what you say, what you put in your resume, what does your resume look like, how to network, where to look for jobs, and so on and so forth. So we try to help you. We recognize that job seekers, that immigrant and refugees job seekers have these difficulties, and we try to work you at all of these levels to ensure that you have success at all of these levels. So for example, when you join Upwardly Global, you are matched with a career coach that helps you with many things. For example, they help you with resume development. They take your resume and they help you tweak it and modify it and make sure that that resume is in line with what US companies are looking for. Because we know that, for example, when you send an application, normally it's not even a real person who sees your resume. It's a machine, and this machine has a way to scan your resume that is automated. And if your resume is not formatted in a way that is standard for the US job market, it will be discarded and nobody will look at it. So we help you format your resume in a way that passes through that machine and hopefully is seen by a person. And we also help you tweak and perfect that resume so that it speaks to what that person is looking for. It resonates with the expectations of the US job market. We also help you by teaching you job search strategies, where to look for jobs, where to apply, how much time it takes for you to apply, when to follow up after you applied, how to use LinkedIn to apply, for example, or what other places online you can use when you're conducting your job search. So all these strategies in order for you to be successful when you're looking for opportunities. We're also helping you, and this is what we were talking about before, with licensing and certifications. If you work in a job, in a field, and if you want to work in a field that requires a certification, we can help you get that certification. We can tell you what are the steps to get that certification. We might have some contacts and some partners with people who might help you get that certification. So for example, I know that if you work in education, and for example, you are teaching math is an universal language. So if you want, you could teach math here in the US, right? But in order to be able to teach math in the US, you first have to be a certified teacher in the state that you want to work at. So we know that, and we know how it works, and we can help you in the process of getting that certification so that then you can work in public schools in the K through 12 system. Or, for example, we're talking about the healthcare system. There's a very complex process of being certified to work professionally at a certain level in the US in healthcare. So we help you get that certification too. Also, Pretty Global has worked, and this is just a parenthesis, but in the past years, in particular with the pandemic, there was a lot of need of people who are health worker in the field of healthcare. And Pretty Global was able to work with people in the policies, at the policies level, in people in politics, to push for certain cities to recognize that for certain jobs in the healthcare, there was no need for certification because we needed people to help with the COVID. We needed people to help with the crisis. So in some cities, Upper Global was able to convince the policymakers that certifications are not really needed. So for example, I know that in Washington, DC, Upper Global was able to push the mayor of the city to accept certain kind of international degrees as immediate certification so that people could immediately start working to help support people with COVID-related things. But apart from this, this is just to say that we are aware of this certification issue and we can help you get that certification that you need. And on this sideline, we're trying to work with you and we're trying to work to change this system so that these certifications are a bit less difficult for us all, right? The third thing is professional networking. So I came here to the US at the beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic started. And I can tell you, looking for a job in 2020 was extremely difficult, excruciatingly difficult. I know because I've been there and I know that it's still difficult. And one of the main difficulties is networking. How do you network when there is a pandemic going on? It's impossible. It is impossible. Let's say it for what it is. It's really difficult, right? And we also know that 70% of the jobs here in the US are given through connections, through internal referrals. That means that 70% of the job postings, if you they say if you dry apply, if you just send your resume, but you do not know anyone at the company, probably nobody will look at that resume because 70% of the times they already have an internal reference of someone who is already in line to get that job. So this means that networking is extremely, extremely important. And it's important to expand your network, your professional network, in order to be able to be successful in looking for a professional job here in the US. And we help you with that networking. We help you connect with our network of volunteers for informational interviews, and networking events. We help you connect with our employer partners through events. They can be panels, they can be informational events, they can be mock interview events, a lot of kind of events that we have with companies here in the US, where you're able to get in contact with professionals who are in your field, speak with them, share about your expertise, get in contact with them. And then from there, you can follow up and keep in contact with them so that as soon as there is a position at their company that you're interested in, you can apply, but at the same time, send an email, a message to your friend, to the person that you met, and be like, hey, you know, I applied to this position because blah, 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 I'm very interested, blah, blah, blah. And they will be able to get that internal referral for you. They can vouch for you. They can put that step in the door for you. And that increases your chances of being called for an interview. Also, of course, we can help you with interview preparation. Interviews here in the US are very different from what they are from in other places in the world. So we can help you navigate the interviewing style here in the US because we know that it can be very complicated. So we help you by showing you what are the typical questions, how to answer them, because hiring managers expect you to answer in a certain way. And if you take too long or do not answer in a certain way, do not use a very clear story or star example or par a structure or whatever structure they want you to use in the question, they will just stop listening to you and they will decide that you're not the person for the job. So we help you understand what are the expectations for you when you go into these interviews, and we help you prepare for the interviews. So if there's an interview coming up, you can call your career coach, like, hey, I have an interview in 5 days. I need some prep. I need to do some exercise. So we can schedule some time to meet with you and do some exercising with you, some mock interview with you, so that you can go in that interview feeling strong, feeling prepared, feeling confident that you can do a fantastic interview. And also, lastly, we provide you with industry-specific opportunities. So we work with all job seekers from all industries. And sometimes we have opportunities, events, connections that are very tied to a very specific industry. So if you're part of that industry, we reach out to you and we tell you that there's this, for example, particular important event or thing or opportunity that is coming up that is particularly suited for you, and so that you're able to create a network that is more specifically related to your field of expertise. So as you see, we try to help you at every single step of your job search up until the very end. And we do so with the help of our career coaches, with our with our network of volunteers and employer partners. So how do you join the program, and what are the steps to get in the program exactly? So the steps are very easy. First thing first, you have to apply on the website, the same website that you saw before. I can give you the link after. Again, you can search Upward Global, apply, but I can share with you the link again just to be sure. So you apply on our website, and then you are called by one of our onboarding experts that schedules a call with you to check your eligibility requirements. And if you're eligible, then you do a short online training that is around 4.5 hours. You can take your time to do it. There's no rush. Once you've completed the training, you are paired with one of our coaches for in order to start to work with them for one-on-one coaching. And so the steps are very easy. Again, you apply on our website, you receive a call from one of my colleagues about your eligibility to check, if you're eligible for the program. You go through the online training on your own, at your own pace, about 5 hours of online work, which simply helps you get ready for the basics of job search. And then, boom, you're connected with our job coaching, and you can start accessing all the services of Upward Global. Before I move on, are there questions?
In the chat, I put the URL to go straight forward to the application form. And yes, there is a question there. Thanks to Bia and Global for talking about this great program. Could I apply if I am a green card seeker, a spouse of a citizen with a employment authorization documents? Yes, she can, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just check. So green card seeker, spouse of citizen with, yes. I think the answer is yes. If you are in the process of getting your own green card, I think the answer is yes. I would suggest you to apply and speak about it with when there's that onboarding call, this component, the week 1 onboarding. When you have the call with my colleague, her name is Lamo, and she knows everything about it, and she can tell you. I think that if you have your own EAD and you are starting to get a green card on your own, I think that can be done. I'm not the expert on the visas, and that's why I suggest you to look at that list. But absolutely, I would strongly suggest you to apply and ask Clamon, my colleague, because she surely knows more than me. But it sounds like it could potentially be definitely eligible. So yes. The second one, about the week 2, what is the online training schedule? Yes, the online training schedule is we send you a link to the training and you do the training on your own. Like you have access to this course that is fully online. It's divided into small pieces, so you can do it on your own schedule, on your own time. Up to you. It's completely online, completely flexible, following your own time, and you can do it at any time because everything is static online. You're not speaking with a trainer, so you can do it at any time. I see, and it's about 4 hours and a half, so just take your time, no worries. In a few evenings you can complete it and then you're ready. Manuel, el programa tiene un costo monetario? Great question. No, everything you hear about is for free, so absolutely no worries. Everything is free. We will not ask for money at any moment in this process, not at the beginning, not during, not at the end. You can ask me. I've gone through it. I haven't paid a single dollar. You can ask Niurka too. She's an alumni. She's gone through it. She hasn't paid a single dollar. Everything is absolutely free because, you know, it's important. Like, we are already struggling looking for a job, so it's important that these services are for free. Cool. So moving on, talking about week 3 coaching. When you get to this part, you will be matched with your career coach. Our career coaches are fantastic. They're amazing. They're super trained. They're super available. They want you to succeed, and they will help you at every step any way they can. They can help you with career plan mapping. Having a career in the US is not necessarily the same thing as having a career outside of the US. So maybe you might have an idea of how to plan your career and navigate not only this job market, but also the steps of where you want to take your career. Maybe you've done different things in your life and you want to try to decide how to apply those things in the US job market. And our coaches can help you define your career and make a plan for your career, not just for the current job search, but also to create that search in order to go in a certain direction that best align with your knowledge, your capabilities, your skills, your values, and your life objectives, right? Our career coaches, of course, are there to help you with the resume and interview preparation. And of course, they can share with you about all the events and connections with our volunteers that are available. And they help you throughout the entire job search process up until the very end. When you get to the end of the interviews and you're at the point where you're doing the salary negotiation, we can help you with that too. That was very helpful for me too. For example, I come from Italy, and in Italy, we do not negotiate our salary. Like, when they offer you a job, they offer you a contract, you're like, thank you, yes, Oh yeah, thank you. I will sign. Where is the contract? I'm happy. And that's what you're supposed to do, right? Instead, here in the US is completely different. They expect that you negotiate, because if you don't, they're like, huh, this person does not really know what's their value. Like they don't really think that they're valuable, so they don't even try to negotiate. What is this? Like, who's this person? So they look down on you if you do not really even try to negotiate. Maybe the negotiation doesn't go well and they do not add money. But don't worry, because when you get there, negotiating the price will not make them take back the offer. They got all the way to the negotiation with you, so they will stick to it and they want to complete the contract with you. They will not refuse you just because you tried to negotiate. And actually, negotiating is important because it shows that you value yourself, you value your skill, you know your worth, and so you can get in there. But it's not easy to navigate that salary negotiation if you're not used to it. So you see, there are so many components, and our job coaches can help you with that too, like all the way to the very end of your job search. Our career coaches and mentors are there to help you with all these things. So I wanted to talk also about our employer partners. We have many employer partners, more than 50 employer partners across the whole nation, across the US, who help us in many different ways. We're connected with them in many different ways. They help us with offering our job seekers network building opportunities through events and connections and volunteering opportunities. They help us, for example, creating events where they engage with job seekers to do mock interviews. They help doing informational interviews, or maybe they create an event where they bring some industry experts that talk about something related to the industry or to looking for a job in particular. Maybe they have a webinar about, I don't know, the latest tech used in data analysis, I don't know, or maybe a webinar related to how to reach out to people on LinkedIn if you're interested in having an informational interview with them, something like that, right? So all useful thing that can help you navigate the US job market. And we also work with these employer partners to try to help them understand what it means, what it really means to navigate the US job market as somebody who arrived in the US and was born outside of the US. We work as Upwardly Global. One of our mission, the part of our mission, is also to try to help these employer partners improve their diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, improve their hiring practices, so that they're more welcoming, more understanding of where people are coming from, what are their difficulties, what are the barriers to success. So for example, we try to explain to them that if someone has a bit of an accent when they speak in English, who cares? Who cares? Doesn't matter. What is important is the skills you bring. What is important is the passion that you bring, your knowledge, your skills. What does it matter if you have one word that is wrong every now and then, or you make an error or mistake every now and then? Doesn't matter. It's not important. The important thing is, are you good at your job? What are the skills that you bring? What is your passion? What is the way that you show up at work? So we work with our employer partners to make them understand that there is value in each of us and that they have to look beyond certain things and really recognize where we're coming from and who we are, right? We also try to work with them to, for example, change their hiring practices, the way they look at resumes. If someone puts their picture on the resume, it doesn't, like, in theory, you're not supposed to put your picture on a US style resume, but whatever, if someone did it, who cares? Like, it's not a problem. Don't discard that resume just because there was a picture on it. That doesn't make any sense, you know? So this was just to say that as Upwardly Global, we do our best to work with all of these people, all of these employer partners, not only to bring you the best opportunities that we can to expand your network and to strengthen your skills when you're looking for a job. But also on the other side, we try to help them understand what they're doing wrong and how they can improve, and really have a diverse, better, more yeah, definitely better, team that is more inclusive, and to work with people who have a wider set of skills. They have people work with and accept people who have international skills. Imagine, like, for example, if you have to choose between two people, one has always lived in the US and the other comes from outside of the US and has experienced both living in the US and outside of the US, and they have the same professional experience, but one only speaks English, the other speaks English, Spanish, and maybe also understands Portuguese because there are some connections. Like, who would you choose? Who would you choose in any kind of job? Wouldn't it make more sense to see and recognize that immigrants bring something to the table that other peoples don't? So it's important for us to really make these employer partners understand these things and recognize these things. And that's why these events that we do are so important. Part of my work is to manage these events and manage the connections with employer partners. And what I see, for example, during the events is that people who participate and volunteers from the employer partners who participate, they're like, oh, wow, I spoke with this person. They like, they have such an amazing professional experience. It's so fantastic. And they speak English, but they also speak all of these languages. It would be so fantastic because, for example, sometimes we have clients from, I don't know, Venezuela. And so having someone who can speak that language directly would be so useful. That opened my mind. And I'm like, wow, come on, you just learned something that should be obvious. Why is it not obvious? So we work with our employer partners so that we envision a future where these things are obvious for everyone. Unfortunately, they're not. We're aware of this. We do our best so that they will become obvious sometime in the future. So this was just to say that there are many ways that with Purely Global you have chances to connect with these employer partners through events, through volunteers, and expand your network and strengthen your skills while in your job search. Something that I wanted to mention too is related to industry-specific opportunities. So over the course of the past year, Purely Global has looked at job search data and also data about our job seekers. And we have seen that there are these 5 main categories, 5 main industries where, one, the job market is particularly dynamic right now, and 2, there are a lot of people who applied to a Purely Global who are in these industries. So the wide field of healthcare, business is everything related to business, like everything that is related to just conducting a business, managing a business, or like marketing, everything related to it. Engineering, every kind of engineering, tech, software development, IT, support, everything. And finance can also include admin, banking, and all things related to it. These are the 5 main industries that are very strong right now in the market. So we, as a Purely Global, created 5, we call them communities of practice. It's very new, so maybe New York is not, was not there when we did this. But it just means that people who are in these industries, when they join a Purely Global, become a part of these communities who are very focused in one of these industries. And it was a way for us to have some career coaches specialize in one of these industries, so that we have some career coaches who are very, very specialized in one of these industries. And when you join a Purely Global, if you're part of one of these industries, they can specifically help you with everything that you need for these. For example, especially in healthcare, navigating the healthcare job market here in the US can be very complicated with certification, whatever. So we have some career coaches who are right now have been specializing in the healthcare field for a while. So they are particularly knowledgeable about all of these very complicated things, and they can help you in particular with that. Having said that, we help all of the job seeker from all possible industries, not only the one that you see here. So for example, if you come from journalism, journalism, nonprofit, government, education, I don't know, like any kind of industry that is not represented here, don't worry, you can, legal, you can apply. We can still help you. It just means that you're not part of these 5 main groups, 5 main communities of practice, right? But we still help you, we still support you with a career coach, we still support you with all the opportunities. And right now we are launching a new program that is called mentorship program. And if you're not part of these 5 industries, you will be paired one-on-one to work with a mentor who will help you navigate the job search market as alongside your career coach for 3 months. So that means that you get basically 2 career coaches at the same time, because we know that if you're not part of these communities, maybe you might need some, additional help, right? So we try to provide that help through pairing you not only with a career coach, but also with a mentor. Yes, so having said that, are there any questions about this before I switch to the next slide?
Reading in the chat a question from Jose Garcia. He's asking about the real opportunities that people like him, who is 52 years old, can have in the workforce, right, in the market. So he said that he's 52 and he has 26 years of experience in his field.
Yes. Jose, it sounds like you have a fantastic wealth of experience, and it sounds like the difficulty in your case would be to find ways of communicating that experience in a way that resonates with the job market, like finding ways so that people really understand the value in that experience and how it is transferable. 2, it sounds like, especially in media, I think that networking is really key, like being able to connect with people in the field of media and network your way into opportunities, because typically I have the feeling that those are small teams that are very well knit and connect with each other. So when you are in that field, more or less everybody knows each other. And once you're in there, you start to learn about opportunities, about connections, and about and get that internal referral maybe. And so I think there are opportunities, and I think that your 26 years of experience show that you are able to shine and be a fantastic professional in your field and apply that experience here in the US. The issue is just how to communicate it and how to start growing a network that can recognize that experience and invite you to the spaces and the opportunities that where you can start applying that experience. Maybe it could be, maybe at the beginning it could be something like being patient and maybe looking for short-term contracts, or but those are only ways to start working with the teams, start working in your field as a professional, even at higher levels. Show them what you're made of, show them what you can do, and then from there they will see and be able to recognize your experience and your potential to be hired full-time increase. So definitely, like we work with people who have many, many years of experience, 10, 20, 30 years of experience. The other day, I spoke with a person who had 35 years of experience in their field, and they were working with us, and they were finding networking opportunities to try to apply that experience, right? So we definitely work with you and try to find our objective. Our main objective is to help you find a job that aligns with your level of experience, right? So if you work for 26 years, it wouldn't make sense for you to accept an entry-level job because you have so much experience. So we try to support you in order to get a job that is at your level of experience. But we also understand that sometimes it can be a bit difficult. I see the question, how limiting is an old age? That is a great question. I think it can be, I think that it is limiting only in certain cases. Like there are some situations where it might be limiting, but that could simply depend on two things. I think it can be limiting if the employer has a certain work culture and they are looking only for young people. In that case, there's nothing that we can do, and that is just an issue with the culture of the employer. So it can be a good idea to start first. Again, that's why networking and informational interviews are particularly important, because you can ask this kind of question to the people, to our volunteers, and you can connect with them and be like, at your company, how limiting it is. Like you can come with this very question and ask it to our volunteers and be like, at your company, how limiting it is. So that if you know that the company culture is like, yeah, I don't know, you do not waste time in applying to them, and you focus on those that instead are like, no, don't worry, age is not an issue, age is just a number, what matters is your skills, so you can focus. And that's why information interviews are so important, so that you can focus on the ones where age is not a problem. The second thing is also the way you yourself think about the issue of your age. So the way you market yourself, the way you present that in an interview, the way you talk about your experience during an interview, and the way you frame your interview. So if you say on one side that you have a lot of experience, and on the other side that you're still ready and able, if needed, to learn new stuff in order to align with whatever requirements and need they have, then no sane person in their right mind will deny you an opportunity, because you have so much experience that should never be wasted. So I definitely think that age is not a limitation. Age, from my point of view, and from a pretty global point of view, age and experience are a treasure trove that you only have to find a good way to market it when you go into an interview, basically. And so that's why we work with you, especially in terms of how to show up during interviews, what to say, and how to describe your experience and your current situation to the employers, so that you make sure that you're able to really touch the right points, when you're discussing these things. And yeah, I hope that this kind of helped answer this kind of question. Yeah, so, and also I wanted to mention that we have seen job seekers with 20, 25, 30 years and more of experience be successful. Many of our alumni have been able to find a job in their profession that they're happy with, even if they have a lot of years of experience. It's just, you just have to be mindful of how you talk about it and work on it. So something that I wanted to mention too is skilling and training opportunities. So one of the things that we are able to share at the Portal Global are many opportunities to expand your skills and your capabilities through what we call reskilling and upskilling opportunities. So what are these opportunities? It just means that sometimes you just need a bit more, like maybe you studied in your field so a lot of time ago, and you want to learn something new in your field. You want to expand your knowledge of the field related to the latest trends in your field. Maybe you want to learn something new. Like, for example, now data analysis and a bit of knowledge about data analysis is important in nearly all imaginable fields. Knowing how to use Excel, knowing how to use some coding languages like SQL, it can be very, very useful in so many fields, right? So we can help you and offer you free training in some of in whatever you may need, especially if you're while you're looking for a job, and it can take some time. While you're looking for a job, you can also take that time to kind of expand your tool set in order to be even more and more ready for the job market, right? So we pair with a number of our partners who are able to offer to you for free a number of trainings, online trainings that you can do, and in order to expand your curriculum, in order to add some lines to your curriculum, in order to expand, to learn something. So, for example, we work with Microsoft and Google to offer you for free some of their typically you have to pay to access them, some of their courses in these fields that are simply amazing. At the end of these short courses, all of them are online. You get a certification from Microsoft or from Google, and you can put that certification on your resume. You can put your certification on LinkedIn. You can talk about it in your interviews, and it definitely can help you and support you in your job search. We also have a scholarship program. So if there is a certain certification that you need in order to be successful in your job search, and we are not able to provide you that certification through our programs, there is a chance that we might be able to give you a scholarship in order to get that certification. Some other of our partners that we are able to offer you courses through their services for free are, for example, Coursera, Udemy, Splunk, and also the Google Professional Certificates. Google has created 5 professional certificates recently where you learn from experts at Google. And you can kickstart your career, for example, in project management or data analysis without any previous experience required. So these are awesome options to expand your skills or even learn something new and direct your career if that's the case. These are amazing. Like, I've used in particular Coursera, for example, for my own development. I came to the US with a lot of education already in my pocket. I had a bachelor, I had a master, and I had a PhD in my pocket and in my resume. And still, I went back and did some training on Coursera. And the reason is very simple. The courses on Coursera are offered by American universities. And when you complete the course on your LinkedIn, it pops up that you went through a specialization at an American university. And people here in the US, it's terrible, it's very stupid, I know. But if they see University of Bologna, Italy, they're like, who cares? Like, what's the University of Bologna? Who ever heard of University of Bologna? What is that? Instead, if they see Duke University, blah, 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 they're like, oh, has a certification from Duke University. Oh, that's so cool, right? That's very stupid, but it's one of the reasons why people do not receive a callback, right? So to get a Coursera certification allows you to put in your resume that you have a certification as specialization at an American university, and people recognize it and they're like, oh wow, he has experience here in the US, even in his education, blah blah blah. So that helps you too. Also, second reason why these are amazing, language skills. Going through these courses expands your technical vocabulary. I cannot tell you how many words I've learned that were technical and related to my field in these courses, and how stronger I felt, how more confident I felt when I went into the interviews to talk about my experience, to talk about certain technical things, because everybody is able to say where they're from and answer the tell me about yourself question, right? If they get the proper training. But when you get to that technical interview, oh, that can be very difficult, right? Like that is when really things start to become shaky. So going through even one of these courses refreshes your technical vocabulary in your field and allows you to have that additional confidence related to your English skills when you go into interviews. Third reason, Coursera has some amazing, they call them capstone projects, or just short hands-on projects, blah, blah, blah. They're very, very short courses that typically take like 2 or 3 hours, and they guide you step by step through the process of doing something related to your field. And and at the end of those 2 or 3 hours, you have something that you've done and that you can put in your portfolio. You can talk about it during your interviews. You can use it as an additional story. And these are all amazing because it shows that you're continuously interested in being a professional in your field. Maybe you're working at a survival job, but you are a professional data analyst. I don't know, for example, right? A data analyst. You're a professional data analyst. You're struggling to find job in data analysis, or maybe you're a professional project manager, right? And you have difficulties finding job as a project manager. So you're just working at a survival job right now. On Coursera, you can do, while you're looking for a job, you can do one of these short courses where they basically help you build, for example, in this case, a data analysis process, or to build a report on some data analysis, whatever, blah, 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 maybe related to COVID, I don't know, some data analysis research on COVID, and then put it on your own website so that you can show that you're continuously interested in being a data analyst. Your current job does not define you. Your current job is just something that you're doing to survive, but you're still interested in being a data analyst or whatever, and that shows your continuous commitment to the field, and people respect that. People will, when you show up during the interviews and they ask you maybe, what you're doing right now, or can you tell me maybe something that you worked on recently, you can be like, yes, I've worked on this project, and you can tell them about this project, and you can show your passion in your thing. So this is just another reason why I believe that these courses are so amazing, because they give you so many tools to go into those interviews and ace them, and show your passion, show your resilience, your grit, and your experience. So this was just to remind you that Upwork Global is able to share with you all of these trainings for free. All of them are online. All of them are completely self-paced in the sense that you create your own schedule and you go at your own speed, and you decide how much energy you want to put in it. And then once you complete them, then the certification is immediately linked to LinkedIn. So it's just great. It's fantastic. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's one of the coolest thing that Pretty Global also helps you with. All right. So this was everything that I wanted to share with you. Again, for the application, you can check the link that Nurka shared in the emails, and also you can go to this web page to see all the programs. Let me just yeah, copy paste again the page for the application so that if anybody you know, the page, and then we can definitely, you know, and of course feel free to send me emails if you have additional questions. I'm always free to answer through email too, absolutely no problem. So now, of course, we have all the time that you want to answer questions. I was looking here, so I'm afraid I believe that we have to sound like a professional interview. This is not just communicate yourself, basically. Yes, exactly, Marifa, this is exactly one of the issues. And that is why I believe these courses are so useful. Like, I remember, even for me at the beginning, you know, let's be real, the US job market is so strange sometimes. Like, hiring managers want to see that you are not only expert in your field, but you're also expert in how that field is structured. Like, for example, they want to see that you really know what's the difference, for example, between associate or specialist or senior or whatever. Like, I still have to fully understand what's the difference between associate and specialist, for example, because to me they're the same. But anyway, this is just to say that one of the issues is definitely that of uh, finding ways of showing that professionality, you know, and we can help you through in two main ways. One is helping you structure your, like, work on your interview answers in a way that they're short, clear, and they work on a certain format that people expect to hear, right? So for example, there is the STAR format or the PAR format, where you go in and you explain in just a couple of minutes where you were, what you were doing, what was the problem, what were the actions that you took in order to solve that problem, what were the results, and how you know that it was ultimately successful. So, you know, this is just one of the examples that just out of the top of my head. People expect you to be able to answer questions in 2 minutes using this format. Otherwise, they will not listen to you. They will not follow what you're saying. So it's important to be able to structure your story using these mental formats, because that's what they are, in order to tell your story in a way that people understand immediately. And the second thing that Pretty Global helps you with is to also have a vocabulary strong enough to do that. Like, I have a strong knowledge of English. I reached the C2 level in 2017. I worked as an English teacher back in Italy. So my English level is good. but still, when I went into those technical interviews, I was like, oh my God, oh, this is hard. Oh, this is hard. Because you know, to have that confidence of having those technical conversations, like, I know my thing. I know I feel like I'm an expert in my things, but sometimes it's just a matter of knowing those little technical words, those little technical terms, you know, those little buzzwords that are typically used to describe certain things in a certain field. And once you know those buzzwords, you just throw them in the conversation and people will be like, huh, no, that's great. So for example, I was in the field of education, so I never heard before about the terms of, for example, Gagne's 9 level of instruction. It's one of the frameworks that are used in education right now, especially in the US, to frame the way you create educational experiences. And on Coursera, I learned about it. And it's just a buzzword. It's something that people here in the field, here in the US, talk about when they talk about education and educational experiences, right? Instructional experiences. So when I went into interviews, I was like, yeah, you know, I created I was able to use words like, yeah, when I planned for instructional experiences, I used Gagne's 9 level of instruction to create impactful experiences. You see, I just used buzzwords in this sentence that I just made. It was just a sentence filled with words that I learned in these courses. I know, of course, what they mean, and I know what kind of work they apply for. But if you do not know these buzzwords, it's difficult to sound like a professional. So that's, for example, one of the reasons why I think these courses are so cool. On top of course, all the other events, connections with volunteers, those events, and in all the connections on-one with volunteers, you still are able to, as you expand your network and as you speak with professionals, you learn from them, you hear how they speak about what they do, and you take notes and you learn how to speak about what you've done too, in a way that reproduces what they say about themselves, and it allows you to speak about, create a narrative about your experience that is more in line with, you know, the US way of speaking about these things. If that makes sense.
It's like that, and we really appreciate all the suggestions that you have made based on your personal experience. I would like to add, being a part of this program, well, several years ago, more than 4 years ago, that is the most important thing always is to just do the first step and try to, involve and engage yourself to apply to this kind of program. First, because they are free, they are there for you. The only thing that you need to have is a employment authorization document, which is basically the work permit, and then being an immigrant, which is basically what we are all here. And then go to those websites that Lorenzo just mentioned. Allow me to show this in order to let people, especially for those who came after you started the presentation, repeating that all openly global programs are free and remote nowadays because of the quarantine. And the first thing that you have to do is go to their URL, to their website, in which you can find out what visas they are accepting to become, eligible to apply for their programs. And there you find the URL that you can use for that. And then after you find out that your visa, because we are mostly asylum seekers, or maybe applying for the TPS, and we will have in the near future hopefully employment authorization document. So we can go to this URL, which is basically in your screen right now, to apply to become a openly global student, client, or member. I like to say member instead. Here you will find all the information regarding Lorenzo Vanelli, who was the person who presented for us today. So there you will find also his email address. So feel free to reach out to him in case you don't have right now with you where to write the notes. Feel free also to reach out to us at VIA. We are more than welcome to assist you in whatever way we can be of any assistance. So, darle las gracias nuevamente a Lorenzo, sabiendo que es perfectamente bilingüe y que también habla español, por esta presentación que nos acaba de dar. Yo pienso y estoy segura que muchos de ustedes están de acuerdo con nosotros de que lo más importante es dar el primer paso, porque siendo inmigrantes y de pronto teniendo, qué sé yo, 1 año, 2 años, quizás hasta más, trabajando en lugares donde lo que buscamos es dinero para sobrevivir, quizás perdemos un poco la confianza en nosotros mismos, en lo que somos capaces de hacer, en cuál es nuestra profesión, y organizaciones como Upwardly Global son aquellas que nos hacen nuevamente ganar la confianza en nosotros mismos, en nuestra profesión, en lo que somos capaces de hacer y sobre todo de aportar a este país que hoy nos está dando la acogida. Entonces, la invitación es a ir a esos URL, muchos de ellos, 3 de ellos están compartidos en este momento en nuestro chat. El chat ustedes pueden guardarlo y tenerlo con ustedes en sus computadoras, en sus dispositivos. Ir a esos URLs, averiguar cuáles son las visas que Upwardly Global acepta como criterios de elegibilidad y luego, por supuesto, sin miedo, plin, dale clic a aplicar para pasar por todo el proceso para convertirse en un estudiante, miembro o cliente de esta organización que, como les comentó Lorenzo, y yo les afirmo en este momento, él formó parte como estudiante, yo también formé parte como estudiante en el 2016 y créanme que esas informational interviews, mock interviews ayudan muchísimo porque se trata más allá de entender la terminología, sino entender la parte cultural de los Estados Unidos, en donde para nosotros un currículum de 4 páginas es lo mejor que se puede hacer, pero para los Estados Unidos un currículum de 1 página es más que suficiente. Entonces, todas esas técnicas, ahí está este tipo de organizaciones que prestan la ayuda y sin duda, pues, los invitamos a que overcome your own thoughts, sobrepasa tus propios pensamientos y da el primer paso. Si tienen alguna pregunta, yo voy a abrir los micrófonos en este momento para que se sientan libres de hacerla directamente a Lorenzo. Y nuevamente agradecerte por tu tiempo, Lorenzo, de verdad que sí.
Claro, o sea, es un placer y me gustaría muchísimo soy muy feliz de haber tenido esta oportunidad de hablar con ustedes y presentar de Upwardly Global. Y sí, si tenéis alguna pregunta, estoy aquí. Soy muy feliz de responder.
Seguro. Muchachos, recuerden que este video va a quedar grabado en nuestro canal de YouTube, por lo que les puede servir de referencia. En cualquier momento lo ven, lo revisan, lo repasan. Nuevamente les vamos a compartir la presentación por correo electrónico a todos aquellos que se registraron. Y creo que ya tú respondiste, Lorenzo, por lo que veo. Las respuestas las estoy viendo aquí en el chat de las últimas preguntas. Y hasta ahora, más que el thank you, incluso Judith, thank you Judith, te quiero mucho. Nada, creo que no tenemos más preguntas, creo que estamos listos. Eso es cierto, muchachos, no más preguntas, ¿podemos cerrar? No más preguntas. Claudia levantó su manito. Claudia, hable. Ya te abrí el micrófono, creo, mi corazón. Claudia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Claudia Hurtado. My question is, I am asylum seeker. I have a degree and bachelor in nursing science. And as a registered nurse, I am in the process on the nursing board of New York State. But I don't have the licenses yet. I'm in the process. Can I apply in the program?
Absolutely, yes. Claudia, it sounds like we can definitely help you. We can help you through that process, and definitely feel free to apply, because we are very happy to help you in your process while you're completing, the certification in your state, and also after create a network that will support you in looking for a job in your field. So definitely feel free to apply. Yes.
Andreina.
Hi everyone, good afternoon.
Hola, Andreina.
Hola Niurka, muchas gracias. Gracias. My question, hi everyone. Unfortunately, I'm joining late, but I am really interested in this topic. So I am psychologist from Venezuela. Also, I have my NGO over there, and I am working in my NGO here, but I know it's a step by step. So my question, because I was looking for information about to make my career over here, it's necessarily like I had to have the ESL program to join or to make some like and social worker license or something similar than psychologists over here?
That is a great question. So in order to join Upwardly Global and use our services, you do not need to have that certification. In order to work, if I think that psychologists and therapists and social workers to do certain kind of activities need to be certified, and there is a certification process that depends on every state. So what we can do to help you as a Global is to connect with professionals in your field who maybe work as social workers or therapists or licensed social worker, licensed therapist, licensed psychologist, and they can tell you what is the process like, where to go, what are the differences between the different because I know that, for example, here in the US, there is a difference if you are a licensed social worker or a licensed, what's it called, counselor, or a licensed therapist, or a licensed psychologist. Like, there are slight differences that, for example, in Italy, we do not have those differences. So we can connect you with volunteers who work in this field, and you can discuss with them what is the certification that best aligns with your preferences, your knowledge, and your objectives, and they can direct you in getting those
Thank you very much, Lorenzo. Thank you, New York. Thank you, everyone.
Oliver, ¿ibas a hacer una pregunta? Oliver, ¿ibas a hacer pregunta? ¿No? Creo que estamos listos. Volvimos a compartirlo. Volvimos a compartir los enlaces por el chat. Creo que no más preguntas, no veo manitos. Estamos listos, Lorenzo. Thank you again for... Gracias a ti, Claudia, por estar con nosotros, tan bella siempre apoyándonos. Thank you again, Lorenzo. Muchísimas gracias de nuevo. De verdad que repasar todo eso que hiciste durante la presentación me conectó en todos esos momentos vividos con ustedes cuando estaba o era parte de sus programas. De verdad que agradecidas. Yo les pido a todos ustedes, por favor, no duden en aplicar, no duden incluso en tocar la puerta. Es el primer paso que tienen que hacer. Háganlo, estamos a la orden ante cualquier orientación, asistencia de la cual podamos servir. Ya tienen allí, le pasamos, creo, Lorenzo, ya pasaste por el chat tu correo electrónico. Lo voy a nuevamente a poner en el chat, el correo electrónico de Lorenzo, y van a recibir a través de un correo de vía el enlace para ver la presentación en nuestro canal de YouTube. Nuevamente las gracias para Lorenzo y el material que pusimos para esta presentación. Lorenzo, solo que disfrutes el resto de tu martes, agradecido por estas casi 2 horas, de verdad, que nos brindaste hoy, que nos honraste hoy con tu conocimiento y tu presencia. Y a todos gracias, Judy, Juan, Vanessa, Carlos, Heidi, Joliver, mi querida Claudia, Marifé, saludos inmensos desde allá, Alexander, Narli, Aixel, Daniel, por supuesto mi querida Andreina y mi querido amigo Manuel Cáceres y Belia Rondón, todos los que estuvieron conectados con nosotros, de verdad que muchísimas gracias y estemos en contacto, quedemos siempre, como siempre, en contacto por las redes sociales. Lorenzo, saludos a todos por allá por Upwardly Global. Say hello to everyone I know.
Of course. Saludos y muchísimas gracias una otra vez. Ha sido un placer de conocer a todos y de hacer esta presentación. Muchísimas gracias.
Tuya. Feel free to use it anytime you feel it's the best time or best moment for you. At your best convenience. Bye, my friend. Thank you so very much, and thank you all, and see you then. Bye, take care, muchachos, cuídense mucho. Gracias por todo.